Hey guys, Bear from the internet here. A little truck talk, a little old school. Actionable preparedness. Everything is going crazy in the world. What else is new? It's been going crazy for a long time. And you know, 5 years ago, I went out of my way to not pay attention to politics. And we'll just say from a mental health standpoint, I can't say that it's positively affected my life to be more aware of politics and geopolitics now than I was 5 years ago. But if you're watching the brief Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're tracking on what's going on in the world too. If you're not, if you live in a hole in the ground, that's fine. The world's crazy, but it's been crazy for a long time anyway. So what do I do about it? The cool thing about preparedness is that basic preparedness covers a whole wide swath of potential threats. Water, hydrate. So we'll start there with water. I'm sure you're familiar with the rule of threes. 3 seconds without hope, 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food, 3 hours without shelter in an austere environment, etc. 3 days without water, asterisk. Can you live 3 days without water? Yes. Is it going to be good for you? No. You start getting degradation in your mental computing capacity. The synapses don't fire as well as they should when you're 2% dehydrated. So the amount of water intake that you should have every day is take your body weight and divide it by 2. So by 200 pounds, that's 100 ounces. Pounds to ounces, okay? 200 pounds divided by 2 is 100 ounces. So just about 3 quarts, 3 liters average daily. If you're engaged in strenuous activity, double it. So start by staying hydrated. Then look around your house and go, what do I have here that'll hold potable water, so that I have water on hand in case the power goes out, because the average American municipality has storage capacity in their standpipes, their tanks, their reservoirs for 36 hours of water pressure for municipal water systems. So you got a day and a half when the power goes out, on average, to skin that cat. So if you live in Tornado Alley like I do, or Iran nukes Israel, or Israel nukes the United States, or Russia, or China, or whatever, insert thing here, data breaches, password resets, stuck nets, Siemens PLCs, Chinese hackers, whatever, the grid goes away. You got a day and a half on average before the water stops flowing out of the spigot. So what can I hold water in? Potable water means water that can be drunk, can be consumed. What do I have? I love the water bob, man. It's like 20, 30, 40 bucks depending on whether or not it's Amazon Prime Day, and it holds up to 100 gallons of water in your tub. Cool. Or IBC totes, water storage, or ponds or lakes or streams or stock tanks or whatever you got. Water, gonna need water. Food. Oh, and water filtration, water treatment, whole home water filters, all those things. Yep, for sure, all those things. But if you got 30 bucks, you can walk into Walmart, literally into the hunting department, outdoor area, and get a Sawyer Mini for 30 bucks, and they work well. I have one in the rucksack in the back of my truck right now. I've used them on many occasions. Is it ideal? No. Would I rather have a Catadine hiker? Yep, for sure. But it's not 30 bucks, it's more than 30 bucks. Brings us to food. Immediate, delayed, and long-term food. Immediate food is the food that's in your refrigerator. Eat it now when the power goes out, or whenever there's some kind of external stimulus that you equate to chaos. And then intermediate or delayed food is going to be the stuff that's in your freezer, because it's going to last longer, the stuff that's in your pantry, right? Well, hopefully you have food inside of the house to the best of your ability. And then long-term is your long-term food storage, you know, your buckets of nutrient survival, or corn, rice, wheat, beans, stuff that you've canned yourself, water bath canning or pressure canning, whatever it might be. Or livestock on the hoof is also long-term food storage. The FEMA says you should get about 2,000 calories per person per day. Dirty Civilian recently did a video where one of the guys ate nothing but survival ration, survival food, for a month, combination of, I think it was nutrient survival and MREs for a month. Had major gastrointestinal problems, lost 8 pounds of body weight over the month because it's predicated on 2,000 calories a day, and a lot of it's carbs, which are fine if you're going to use them right now. Without getting into the physiology, carbs spike your glycogen, which makes your body store fat, and so unless you're going to use them, and use them pretty quick as energy for the muscles, for the cells, it gets converted into fat. We also definitely want protein, and we want fats, good fats, and we want micronutrients, our greens, our purples, our reds, yellow foods, stuff like that. Not that I'm clearly not a nutritionist. I don't play one on YouTube, but based upon my own research. And then, so like, what do I store for long-term food? If it comes in a jar, a can, or a box, it'll live on a shelf for at least a year, generally speaking. If you want longer than that, you're talking about putting grains in buckets. Simple as that. So, water, food, what else? Basic prepper stuff, regardless of whether or not Iran starts nuking people or the power goes out or it's just a storm. Food, water, shelter. Shelter starts with the clothing that you are wearing, to include your footwear that should be appropriate clothing for the region, for the climate, whatever the season is, and also for the activity that you're going to be engaged in. And then same thing with your bottoms and your tops, your pants and your shirts. I keep underneath this seat right now, I have a weather layer, I have a rain jacket, and that's something that when it comes to shelter, a lot of people don't realize. You can, right now, my dashboard says it's 100 degrees here in eastern Oklahoma and humid. You can still get hypothermic in these conditions. Evaporative cooling. Why does your body sweat? Your body sweats because the creator of the universe designed you as a swamp cooler, because evaporative cooling will lower your core body temperature. A wet body loses body heat 28 times faster than a dry body. Add in blood loss to that. If you have a traumatic injury, then you're now circling the drain, what's called the lethal triad, related to blood loss. Blood loss, hypothermia, and acidosis, which is CO2 piling up in your bloodstream because of inadequate perfusion, blah, blah, blah. Don't matter. Point being, you can get hypothermic even on a day like today if you're wet. And so having a rain layer, having spare clothing that's decent clothing, good to go, and then your four walls and your roof, or your bug out hooch or your wall tent or whatever it is. So if you had to leave and you had to leave in a hurry, what does shelter look like? I have stuff in this truck right now that I can make an impromptu shelter. What I don't have in this truck is a house. What I do have in this truck is four walls and a roof. I have four doors and a roof. I can put the seat back and sleep in it if I need to. So think about what shelter looks like. Energy is another one. We live in a day and age now where the rectangles, existential crisis rectangles, have been integrated into almost every facet of life. And keeping the rectangles fed, or if you're somebody that has to have their medications refrigerated, or an oxygen concentrator, or whatever, or even if it's just temporary energy like batteries for things like headlamps, whatever it might be, you want to consider energy. And so this could be your solar generator, this could be a backup generator tied to your house or not tied to your house. This could be batteries, both disposable and rechargeable. This could be, this truck has two 110 AC outlets built into it. They're only 750 watts each, so you can't pull a lot of amps, but you can run things like laptops or whatever with it. So energy, and again, why? Well, primary things you're going to use, with primary things the average American household uses energy for are heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. Those are the two prime consumers of electrons. They don't actually get consumed, Barrett's alternating current, they just wiggle across the wire, I know, but just go with me. As far as consuming electricity in your house, HVAC and refrigeration. Your fridge, your freezer, and your air conditioner are what's using most electricity in your house. Which means if you don't have the ability to replace all that electricity, you don't have any backup generation, or you only have a little bit of backup generation, you need to look at metering out what that energy looks like, and you might go without refrigeration and HVAC. And for some people, the more elderly, the more fragile, that can kill them. It's environmental stressors that can kill them. So something to be aware of there. And then all your things, like I got a headlamp right here that lives on the dash, this little $20, this is an Energizer brand. It defaults to red, which is super cool. Then it's got several different brightnesses of white light as well. Runs on 3 AAA batteries. So how many AAA batteries are you gonna have? All of them, okay? Energy. Figure out how to skin the energy cat. Primary thing I'm using energy for is to power radios, because they're part of commo and intel. I gotta be able to talk to people, because without communications, we don't have logistics. And without logistics, we are incurring casualties, people who are injured, wounded, or killed, God forbid, due to circumstance. So, to be able to gather regional and local intelligence by monitoring ham bands, GMRS, FRS, that requires electrons. So I need the ability to capture, store, and meter out those electrons. Same thing with batteries, keeping batteries recharged for headlamps, weapons, lights, GPS, blah, 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 blah. So food, water, shelter, energy, intel, and commo, pretty important, especially, you know, if the internet goes down or if the grid goes down, which could be for myriad reasons. There was a case about a decade ago where a guy on a backhoe swiped a trunk cable, fiber optic trunk cable, and cut the fiber optic trunk cable and took all of commo out from Maine, the eastern seaboard, down around the tip of the peninsula of Florida, around the Gulf, and into the Fort Worth, Texas region. All of it was down because of some dude on a backhoe in Virginia, I believe it was. So it doesn't take external bad actors to knock these things out of service. Couple that with, you know, there's severe storms forecasted here yet again. I'm sure it has nothing to do with all the random stuff that's being sprayed into the sky in next-rad radar, but I digress. We're trying to keep it very practical, preparedness type things. So we want commo because commo allows us to develop intel, and intel gives us a snapshot of what is happening around us, ideally first locally and then in concentric circles out from there. Which then leads to security. Security. And preppers love this stuff. They love guns and, you know, pistols and rifles and shotguns and line gear and rucksacks and, you know, nylon and steel and plastic. People are into it, man. It used to be steel and wood. Walnut, not anymore. We're all too mature for walnut now. Never seen Magpul make a walnut M-lock stock or foregrip, but I digress. Should you have those things? Yup. Should you train with those things? Yup. I hope you never have to use them. I hope you never have to use them, never have to fire a shot in anger. But if somebody else decides we're in a deadly force engagement, the only way we're going to get out of that is by being better at deadly force than they are. And that sucks. But it seems to be the case historically speaking. So yes, you should have those things. You should also have commo with the other people that have those things, because we is better than me. More people that I trust is better than fewer people than I trust, all acting in concert to affect security. Which does lead into medical. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure here. You know, you play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Do you need the ability to deal with, you know, gunshot wounds and punctures to the pleural space? And yeah, hopefully not, but yes. You know what is a very reasonable facsimile for shot, stabbed, blown up on the civilian side? It's motor vehicle accident. Same, different modalities of injury, same physiological effects. Massive bleeding, compromised airway, compromised breathing. Problems, these are problems. And so ideally you have a way to deal with those things. And in the longer term, somebody to elevate to. They're all like, and I'm trying to keep this relatively basic because, mostly because I got a brother, his name's Matt, who's new to preparedness. And he asks me like basic prepper stuff that is material that we've covered, you know, for the last 7 years here. But we've had a lot of new people come. I have a lot of people that haven't watched the Prepper Classroom, which you should go watch if you haven't watched it, because I go in depth on all these things. I think it's 28 different subjects. everything from what should I stock to how much food and water do I actually need, and it's free. It's free here on YouTube. Just go watch it, and there's no sales pitch in it. Just go watch it. You know, you use that this weekend, maybe get a little bit more prepared in case some, you know, global elite half a world away just decides that today's the day, homie. And there's not much that us little people can do other than work towards, to the best of our ability, independence from this broken, fragile system, which is why this channel is called Bear Independent. The idea is, I am independent politically, but it's not about politics. It's about the system. I don't want to go away when the system goes away. I don't want my kids or my wife or my friends to go away when the system goes away. And that means I have to take what in today's day and age is considered to be a radical amount of personal responsibility and do the things so that I can limit that anxiety through action to be prepared for whatever potential chaos may arise. That's prepping. It's stockpiling material goods and skills, and coupled with the heart set and the mindset to use those material goods and skills for the preservation of life, to maintain normalcy for the people that we love. So, I don't know, I felt like it was maybe time to get back to basics a little bit on some of this stuff, so hit me in the comments, let me know what you think. Crop duster, gosh, that guy's low. That's not a crop duster. That's the county doing assessments. Taxes, they're the worst. Love you guys. See you when I see you. Later.